the parent-child support, then you will head off decades of problems. I'll just be a bit more radical again. All crime, in my view, is revenge for childhood injustice. Let's put that in your pipe and smoke it. One over here?
Yep. Yeah. This.
How many catatonic schizophrenics have you seen?
Not many.
No, they're very much fewer now than they were. A lot of the pictures of insanity derive from late syphilitic infections. The notion that I'm Jesus Christ, general paralysis of the insane. So there's a lot of problems. I've seen, I think, one catatonic. But the whole thing is the social atmosphere that you provide. In chapter 3 of this book, I start with a conversation I had with a medical friend of mine on the Isle of Wight. I said, I'm writing this book on curing schizophrenia. He said, it's not curable. I said, oh, really? No, because his lecturer said to him, when he's a student, if I woke up with hallucinations, I would kill myself. Now, as a general practitioner, I started off, I did psychiatry and thrown out because I refused to give ECT, so they blacklisted me for further promotion. So I moved into general practice, which I could do in those days. And I had a man came in and he said, the walls keep talking to me. And I thought, oh, fine. Slapped him on some Stelazine, which is what I taught to do. 18 months later, he came in and I said, he said, I've got this terrible back pain, doctor. And I treated his back pain. I said, how about the voices? They're gone. Schizophrenia is an episodic disease. And if somebody's in catatonia or somebody's in, the people I have treated are hysterical fugues, where they lie there and they're like this. The treatment is social support. You relate, you get there and you are friendly. Truth, trust and consent. You sit them down and you evoke from them that you give them the support that you're interested in.
Can I say something, Bob? Because I don't entirely agree with you. I think schizophrenia can be an episodic disease, but I think for some people it actually is continuous. And I certainly have people who, I don't think they're just with me and disturbed because they've been on drugs. I think we know that people were disturbed for many years before there were any modern drugs, that there are people who, for whatever reasons, very complex reasons, become very disturbed, and it goes on for many years. And I think it's slightly, I don't think you should be giving the impression that everyone comes out of it. A lot of people do, but some people don't.
I think it's quite wrong to assume that nobody does.
Bob, can I guess
what
what I like about what you're talking about is getting to the cause.
That's right.
We spend too much time thinking about the reaction, which is hearing voices, unusual beliefs, anxiety, whatever, and we're not really asking the right question.
No.
What brought you to this, you know? And I have seen in many people that there is childhood trauma, but equally there are things from present relationships, you know, that are just as damaging and give light to those kind of same experiences. But I would echo what you say. I do think that it's possible for everybody to recover. I think sometimes
you've got to
the
set out with
systems that we work with stop people from recovering, you know, and really make it difficult. I mean, just when you start accepting the label schizophrenia, you accept that you've got this illness and that there's something that's in you that you can't do anything about. So, you know, I agree with a lot of what you say.
Oh, magic. Can I ask? Been waiting very patiently.
Yes, I wanted to ask a question. Don't know if it's relevant, but does the government, or I was under the perception that the government are aware that there are billions of pounds being poured into the pharmaceutical industry to help, let's say, the people in distress, psychotics, whatever they're labelled with. With them being aware that this is not working, are they aware that it is not working? And am I right in believing or hearing that the government are now considering about alternative and complementary type of therapies which you yourself are advocating to in fact help the people?
I think Joe's better on this than I am, but the evidence that the drugs make things worse, or in fact aren't in any sense curative, and the damage they do is being documented, but isn't published or isn't having an impact. I don't know about the
Are
political change.
you talking about the Layard proposals and the funding that's now going into providing counsellors in general practice?
Absolutely,
Because
yes.
I think that does reflect a change in heart in government. I mean, 10 years ago, the idea was that Prozac would get rid of all our problems. It's
Yes.
now quite apparent that it's not going to do anything of the sort. There are still a lot of people with depression, and it's costing the economy a lot. And the government are now prepared to fund a different sort of approach. Whether that is a total change of thinking, I would doubt. I mean, they haven't shown. They're not really showing any willingness to put the reins on the pharmaceutical industry. The pharmaceutical industry anyway have moved on to the antipsychotics because the patents on the antidepressants have run out, so they're not really too bothered anyway.
But are they devoting more funding to things like Soteria networks?
There is no funding for the Soteria network. We don't have funding, and as I was saying about the projects that are being thought about, one in Cambridge, one in Yorkshire that me and Rufus are thinking about, we're looking for funding. If anyone's got any and they want to give it to us, we'll gladly have it, but it's very difficult to get funding, because there are lots of reasons why people don't want us to do what we're going to do. We're seen as irresponsible, wanting to work with the psychotic people without medication and taking into consideration their wishes. I come up against that daily, in practice with mental health workers. So trying to get that through to people, who are not in mental health is even worse.
Yeah, there is funding
you're not getting the support.
There is funding about our group in Brighton. We're being funded by a branch of the NHS. We're called Innovision, and we're people that have had contact with the mental health system, and we're supporting each other. And we're also going into hospitals, providing a place for people when they come out of hospital, they can get support. So there is money there. What's the name of the organisation that gives us the money?
Well, it comes from Sussex Primary Care Trust, but it's actually the funding is specifically for a service contract where we provide a service in the mental health hospital of music workshops specifically only for that. They do not fund the community activity.
See,
they're funding us a premises. They're funding us a year's premises, and we're running groups like we've got a women's group, we have a relationships group, we have a talking stick where people learn, they pass the stick round and they learn to listen and support each other in terms of listening. And we have a lot of things like that going on. We have music groups. And, I know that mental health issues, especially depression, can be cured without medication.
That's what mental health services should be providing. That's why I was talking about when I say we need to focus more on the causes to people's distress. We need to be giving people the information and the skills.
That's an optimistic story. We need more optimism. We don't need this biochemical rhubarb which says you're condemned from your genes.
Can the person right at the back in black.
Food and Mood group, Alex Richardson, Bazant Puri, they're doing some important work, and we mustn't forget diet, nutrition, and advocate proper testing under the NHS, effective testing to find out what people's deficiencies might be that are exacerbating or even causing it. Everyone knows that if you're diabetic, you can have psychiatric or mental health symptoms, especially when you're in an extreme state with your diabetes. Why don't they look for those sorts of answers, and also environmental factors?
The danger. I've been to a presentation where a paediatric psychiatrist said, well, it's exactly like diabetes. We're giving these abnormal children Ritalin as if we're giving them insulin. Now that's a very dangerous situation to get in. I'm happy to support any dietary changes and anything which boosts, but I would insist that there's usually a single, possibly multiple, and generally a single traumatic episode which that individual cannot review unaided. They have shut the denial box when they are small because that's all they can do, and they have not had enough encouragement to open the denial box.
What happens when
We're
these cases, sorry, it is on the back.
After you, and then we're going to have to stop.
When they're refused all support, social care, mental health services, GP.
Without support, the box remains closed and the symptoms continue.
What do we do?
You have to pay for it.